What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hoax Series. I'm your host, Tyler, joined by my co-host, James. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, James, so today's episode is going to be on fitness trackers. So like the little watch that I got on my wrist would be considered one of those, a fitness tracker for weight loss. I want to really put this in the confines of not counting macros, not MyFitnessPal, not anything like that. I'm purely talking about the watches. So heart rate and the device's ability to kind of predict caloric expenditure, those guys. So hoax on fitness trackers for weight loss.
So I'm going to stay with hype, and I'm going to say you almost tricked me with that intro just there. So I want to hear if you're going to hoax this, then I'm going to tell you why and how you almost just tricked me.
Okay, beautiful. I'm a trickster. What can I say? I'm going to go with hoax. Actually, I'm going to run with hoax on this, and this might be because I know that this is really your area of expertise, as James would say. That I might get swayed here, but I would be surprised because I'll give just a little bit of context, and then I want you to kind of attack that standpoint, which is these algorithms are pretty far off from what I've seen in the literature, that their predictability of caloric expenditure is wonky as all get out, and people live and die by these dang algorithms of I burned 700 calories, look at me. And I'm like, you walked on a treadmill for 20 minutes on an incline. There's no shot that you just burned 700 calories. And then they go eat all those calories back. And then they're like, why am I not progressing? So I personally have an issue with filling the circle, or, whatever the ring is, or filling your activity and then living and dying by that thing, because these things are pretty far off from what I've seen.
All right, so let me dive into this. And so this is why you almost tricked me, which is we initially said, what do I think about them for weight loss, which I think they're great, and I'll explain why. And then you wanted me to talk a little bit about the validity and the accuracy of these devices, which is a whole nother animal. So,
well, I bring them together for me, because that's where my issue is. I don't see how they can be both. When something's super inaccurate and the reliability is there, it tells you the same thing over and over, but the pure accuracy is completely off on these things, and that's my issue.
Correct, right? So again, I think especially, and I'm not a big fan of, as you mentioned, which is eating back the calories from your activity. So again, we know that most of these algorithms are doing this based off of heart rates. And right. So at one point, and there's a nice little flawed study that I think really illustrates this fact, which is they actually had, for example, chess competitors wear a heart rate monitor with the belief that, again, in essence, is that when you're under very, very high stress situations, you have a lot of anxiety, cognitive stress, heart rate goes up. Yeah. That's not the same as physical activity and burning calories. So the problem is, in essence, is that something like taking a test, studying really hard, competing in chess is going to activate your heart rate monitor, and it may actually put you, quote unquote, into an exercise zone, but you're not actually exercising, and that's not going to have the same effect on the body. Now, so again, if you're eating back your calories and you're trusting your Fitbit, your Apple Watch, your Samsung, and eating back those calories, I think that is a terrible plan. That is definitely not going to result in weight loss. Now, if we're just saying in general, what do we think about these devices? You mentioned, and you had a specific phrase though, which is I've got to fill the ring. And so that's where I'm a big fan of these, is the fact that a lot of them have these built-in reminders, which is, hey, you haven't done anything in the last 10 minutes, in the last 30 minutes. Get up and do something. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is you provide this incentive, right? Essentially, these devices are classic conditioning, which is just, they beep at you, and then, it's the beep. It's time for me to do my laps. Like, it's just your classical Pavlovian conditioning. And so I think they're great in the sense that if somebody's goal becomes, I've got to fill the ring, I've got to set this reminder and at least get out of my chair, go up and down the staircase a few times. So if I work in an office building, my watch reminded me I'm going to go do 3 stories on the stairs. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go down, see my friend in the building. We're going to chit chat with IT. And I'm going to walk back upstairs. You're doing something when before you were doing nothing. And so again, you've created this gold sticker. I have my little gold sticker that I put on my chart of I filled my rings today. Where again, I think that plays a big role just in making fitness more part of our daily lifestyle and just reminding ourselves to move. But if you're trying to, I was on the bike and my rings told me and I burned 500 calories, so I can go and eat an extra serving of loaded mashed potatoes. That is definitely going to sabotage your efforts. I would not be doing that. But I still think hyping them in the sense that we're just not as in tune with our bodies, right? We need to pay more attention to our daily habits, our how we're feeling, how we're moving, what's stressing us out. Again, I'm still going to say hype, and I actually really like this technology. You just have to use it appropriately.
100%. I think for the first time, I will tentatively change my hoax. Are we getting this? Is this recording? I will change my hoax to a hype purely on the stance of your approach to habitual changes. Not that I actually like the device and how it actually gives these numbers. The algorithms need to improve. I think people need to learn not to live off of the algorithm and how it tells them to quote unquote eat after they or consume after they have done a routine. I love how it's improving and, like you said, making people more aware of their lack of activity and challenging them and connecting them in groups with other people. Like you can actually set up little buddy systems with it. Oh, I see you worked out today. You closed your ring. Great job. You can actually get these notifications, which is awesome. So I think on a whole, for weight loss, it is a good idea to utilize the technology. But you mentioned very clearly that to do it the right way, to utilize it in the right fashion. And I don't think the right fashion is actually thinking about how much you burned off of the algorithm, because it's probably telling you something that is pretty far off. So don't always believe the caloric expenditure from it.
100%. I think that's a great way to put it. I think the technology will improve, and again, I don't know how much people are going to let sensors and other things track their bodies to kind of improve the accuracy. But over time, I think we will see that. But again, yeah, I definitely, and when I use my personal device, so I also have an Apple Watch personally. Again, I'm never looking at the calorie data. I'm really just looking at the reminders, the networking, the challenging your friends. Again, it's that social aspect of fitness. But yeah, I'm never using the calorie data on my Apple Watch.
100%. I never use it. I actually never track a workout on it. I'll be honest with you. The only time I've done it is for like GPS tracking. So how far did I go? But I never look at how many calories did I burn, because I know off of reading the literature how far off these things still are in their estimation. I use it for steps and I use it for GPS occasionally. And honestly, I just like the convenience of having an electronic watch, if I'm being completely real with you. It looks kind of cool. I'm biased. So
they're pretty. I mean, the Whoop device, the Apple Watch, I mean, all of them, I'm not going to lie, they do have some sex appeal to them, this wearable technology. And I do think steps is great. And I know, for people that are interested in physique sports and looking at tracking that NEAT activity, you can just kind of see that when you're cutting weight that I'm just literally not moving around or walking as much. Again, I'm not really looking at the exercise data, but again, just getting that feedback of I'm just not moving. So like I said, I'm going to stick with hype as long as you're using them in perspective. But yeah, like I said, I do not look at the calorie data on my Apple Watch.
Yes. I will again, I'll revert back, say this one more time. I think the camera is recording me. I'm going to go from a hoax to a hype purely for the habitual piece and that social aspect. But don't be using this thing to tell you how much you should be eating. The algorithm's not great for how many calories you're expending during your workout. It's lying to you. It's lying. Done.
Done.